We are just 10 days away from NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell getting booed on stage before announcing the first pick of the 2025 NFL Draft. The odds are looking like the Titans will take Miami quarterback Cam Ward with the number 1 pick, but there's some uncertainty of who will be chosen after. Welcome back to Penn State Sports Night. I'm Jenna Wissman alongside Justin Ciavolella and Josh Bartosik. Now, I want to know what you guys are thinking. Who do you have in the top 10? Who do you have going later in the first round? Let's take a look at your mock draft.
Well, you already ruined pick number 1. It is Cam Ward. There's really no discussion to have here. He's the best quarterback available, and I honestly think he's the best quarterback by far. I don't think any of the other quarterbacks even compare to what Cam Ward is going to bring to Tennessee. They really need a quarterback. Will Levis was not the answer, and I think that is the most surefire first pick since last year, because it always feels like number 1 is pretty much written in, and then the draft starts at 2.
It does seem like that. I think with number 2, you're going to see, you could probably see maybe Abdul Carter, but let's be honest, the Browns have a lot more issues than edge. They were able to keep Myles Garrett, so Travis Hunter makes the most sense. He allegedly can play 2 positions in the NFL. I think he realistically can only play 1. That's not a conversation I get into, but I do believe that the Browns will go there at number 2, and then, look for the Giants. They can actually, for the second time, pick an Penn State player.
Yeah, I have a feeling they're not going to pick a Penn State player here, and I really think that there's a chance the guy that's going at 4 could really end up in New York. But let's be real. They signed Jameis Winston. They signed Russell Wilson. Yeah, neither of them moved the needle at this point of their career, but you don't lock up that money in 2 veteran quarterbacks and go, let's throw in a rookie, make it 3 quarterbacks, actually 4 when you throw Tommy DeVito in. That just doesn't make sense for a roster. But you also look at what they did last year. None of it made sense either. I personally have them going Abdul Carter. Why? Best player available. I personally probably would have had the Browns going with Abdul Carter, but since you had him going to the Browns, or Travis Hunter going to the Browns, I would have had Abdul Carter going to the Giants. Yeah, they're going to have a surplus of defensive linemen, but who cares? The more the merrier is what they say, right?
Yeah, I think that's what they go with. And I'm a little bit confused because I'm pretty sure the Patriots have the 4th pick. But
oh, Josh. Wait, what's up? I called up.
Oh, hold on.
And unlike Adam Schefter, there's no eavesdropping here. Nobody knew this trade was coming.
Hello?
Can you answer? Okay, yeah, I want the 4th pick.
Okay, you can have it.
Awesome, thanks.
All right, cool.
Now, we traded up, but you did make this pick for your Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, so we made a trade. The New England Patriots are now trading down to, at the moment, the 21st pick. Look, the Pittsburgh Steelers have been in a lot of conversation with Shedeur Sanders, and let's be honest, the Pittsburgh Steelers front office, when it comes to a draft class that has maybe 1 good quarterback and then a bunch of no's. They love drafting a quarterback, a.k.a. Kenny Pickett. Mm-hmm. So I do believe that they're going to do a terrible thing, a dumb thing, and trade all the way up, maybe to 4, most likely maybe a little bit down, but I do believe they're going to go and get Shedeur Sanders. Could he be the quarterback of the future? Maybe for like 2 years, but the Pittsburgh Steelers are a team that has a lot more issues than quarterback, and a lot of it goes with people protecting said quarterback, and Shedeur Sanders knows that all too well at Colorado. So I think it's a terrible fit. I think it's a terrible pick. But that's what they're going to do.
But you made it.
But I did make it. I'm known for making terrible decisions.
I think another spot you could potentially see the Steelers trade up to if the Patriots don't want to trade out is the number 5 spot. But since, in this case, Patriots are trading out Mason Graham, defensive lineman, Jacksonville needs a lot of help. They probably need a quarterback at this point. I really don't understand the Trevor Lawrence hype anymore. He's been in the league long enough to show that he is next to nothing
but
in the NFL.
But he has such nice hair.
So do you.
Oh, wait, so should I be a quarterback in the NFL?
Yeah, probably. Anyway, They take the Mason Graham, the best defensive lineman in the draft. This draft class is loaded with defensive linemen.
It really is. And again, I don't understand what keeps happening. We have another Miss logo on here for number 6. I don't really understand.
Yeah, we're not going to pull out the phones and do the whole shtick again.
Another trade. Look, this
is a horrible pick.
Horrible
Josh.
pick. Yeah, but let's be honest. The New Orleans Saints have made a lot of horrible decisions, and Derek Carr is again out for the season, or at least out for a while. And I think they may be a little bit scared, a little bit anxious that other teams are going to start trying to trade up instead. They're not going to sit quiet at number 9. They're going to move up a few and take a quarterback. Jackson Dart, before this year, was arguably the best quarterback in this draft. I think when it's all said and done, he's number 2 behind Cam Ward. I think Cam Ward's raw talent is just too much to overlook. But I think Jackson Dart, with the right pieces, can be a good quarterback. I think it's a terrible pick, but also, again, I'm not trying to say that I'm smart. I'm trying to think of like a
You're not.
Overreacting, thank you, an overreacting NFL GM. I do believe that's what they would do.
Yeah, let's finish out our top 10 real quick. Tyler Warren, tight end, Penn State. It's a perfect fit for the New York Jets. They need a tight end. Tyler Warren is the most complete in the draft. That one, to me, is the most probably surefire outside of Cam Ward first overall.
Yeah, I agree. It just kind of feels like a lock. I think every mock draft you look at has Tyler Warren going to the Jets. And then we go down one more to the Panthers. I mean, they need a lot of help. best edge player left available. It's really all they got to do. They, again, need so much help.
2 tackles at 9 and 10. Jenna, that's our top 10. You asked for our top 10. Do you agree with our top 10, or do you think we're crazy?
So I agree with some of it. I do have to say I do like seeing Abdul Carter at 3, but that is because I'm hoping that the New York Giants will do what they did with Saquon in years to come and give Abdul to the Philadelphia Eagles. So now continuing on, I want to see who you guys have going later in the first round.
Yeah, let's finish up part of this slide. I think the big name right here is Ashton Genty. The Cowboys want him at 12, but we had another trade. The phones were ringing again, and the Broncos trade up and grab him. Best running back in the draft. They've had some running back issues. I think he's one of the most interesting prospects because you could even see him in the top 5 over here. I wouldn't be surprised if a team either trades up or one of the teams even that was supposed to be there, like the Patriots, go and grab Ashton Genty and get their running game jump started. He is all around the best running back in the draft, but outside of that, I think it's probably time to move on to the next slide and continue on with the second half.
Yeah, I think one that we're really going to talk about here is I want to talk a little bit about Malachi Starks, a safety from Georgia. This is a Seahawks team that really
provides the sparks.
Sparks. Look at us. Look at us, always rhyming. We're always having fun. But look, this is a Seahawks team that the defense hasn't necessarily had a whole lot of fun. They're really trying to get back to those Legion of Boom days. Malachi Starks is a guy that's really, really talented. You could put him at safety. You also could put him at corner as well. Not necessarily that the Seahawks need a corner, but I think they're really focusing more on building up that defense again and then focusing on offense later now with the sort of weird kind of dynamic they have at quarterback in their offensive room. And also Georgia defensive guys, they normally do pretty well in the NFL.
I mean, I'd say so as well. Josh, I want to go down to that pick at 20 with the Colts. We talked about Tyler Warren being the most surefire tight end in the draft, but Colston Loveland, I don't really love where he's landing here. In terms of 20, I think he might be more towards the back couple of picks in the first round or even the second round, especially with the fact that he was in a sling come the combine and he didn't get to participate. But he put it on film in the regular season when he could for Michigan. He's just another one of those tough-built guys from Michigan. Jim Harbaugh's probably hoping that he could get there to the Chargers, but I think we see Colston Loveland go to the Colts.
Yeah, I want to take a look. I want to take a slight look at this number 21 overall pick. Not necessarily because I think that Amarian Hampton is that good. I just think that would be a very Patriots thing to, once your coach leaves to go to UNC, you would take a UNC guy just out of spite, just for fun. I don't know, but I really want to go to this pick at 27, Jalen Milroe. We're really arguing about this one a lot. It's the fact that we have the Raiders moving back into the first round and the later rounds.
Why not?
Why not? Because they have the draft capital. They have 3 6-round picks this year. They're not going to use those.
Trade with the Ravens, right? Ravens
yes.
27?
Yes. And look, they need a quarterback. Aaron O'Connell and the other 3 that played this year, they're not even name-worthy, quite frankly.
Well, that's kind of rude.
Well, I mean, they don't have the hair like Trevor Lawrence does.
Good point.
But Jalen Milroe, I don't necessarily think he's really necessarily that great. But again, we already had earlier the Saints kind of panicking and trading up for a quarterback that probably would have been there regardless. I think the Raiders might end up doing the same thing because it always feels like every year there's a team that gets a little bit over anxious, specifically about quarterbacks, and drafts them way too early. I think you're going to see that happen with the Raiders. I think Milroe's not necessarily going to be great, but I think he's better than what they already have.
I think Jalen Milroe is one of the most interesting prospects in this draft. You know, he's helped by the talent over at Alabama, but he still struggled at times, and I still think he is one of the top quarterbacks in this draft. I think it's a relatively weak quarterback class I said the same thing last year, and look how that quarterback class has started out in their careers between Caleb Williams, Jalen Daniels, and Drake May. They've all started out pretty good, but Jalen Milroe, I just think he's got something. There's still potential to be unlocked. You're probably not unlocking your potential in Las Vegas. I think there's better places to go if you're a quarterback, but at the same time, there is a chance for Jalen Milroe to potentially start come week 1 for the Raiders with their current quarterback situation. And I just think that it makes sense for this pick for the Raiders to go get him. I mean, you see the rest of this first round. Jalen Walker, I think it's another interesting thing. We thought about having him slip to the Eagles because we know how he loves his Georgia players. But the Bills need defense. Last offseason, they had to cut a lot of their defense due to the fact that their cap space is all messed up. And, what better way to do it than Jalen Walker, who I think is one of the best defensive prospects in this draft. He might not stack up necessarily as we see some of the guys like Jahad Campbell and Mike Green in terms of where all the actual analysts might have him. But I think Jalen Walker is one of those guys that can make a day 1 impact for Buffalo. And in a position that they need. They finally need to stop Patrick Mahomes and get some pressure on him.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, looking at those Chiefs, they got some help for Patrick Mahomes, who really struggled in terms of this year and being protected in the pocket. His blind side was pretty weak. So they go and get Josh Connerly Jr. from Oregon, who was pretty solid on a team in Oregon that in their first year in the Big Ten
Was pretty solid.
Won the entire thing.
Yeah.
That's an understatement. Quack, quack.
I was going to do that. Wow, we're on the same page.
We are on the same
Well,
page.
quack, quack. That's our draft.
And I honestly really like it. I like what you guys said about Jalen Milroe. And I also do think Howie might go ahead and get Jalen Walker, but we'll see what happens there. Kansas City needs help. Patrick Mahomes needs help. That's a fact.
I personally think they actually need a running back, but with the other two off the board, I just think you got to go tackle here.
I see.
And they also did sign another running back in the offseason. I just don't think they have that punisher in the running back room yet, and that's why Patrick Mahomes. That's why what happened in the Super Bowl happened in the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. Give credit to the Eagles; they deserve that win anyway.
I mean, there could be. There's another running back by the name of Cam Scatterby who would be wearing a similar shade of red if he went to Kansas City.
You make a good point.
Who knows?
Overall, love the draft, guys, and I think I'll be interested to see how you guys do and how this plays
Probably
out.
not well.
Under 50%.
Yeah, we'll see.
Maybe
There's some
under
hot
30.
takes in there. But that's all the time we have for tonight. For Justin Ciavolella and Josh Bartosik, I'm Jenna Wissman. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to this edition of Penn State Sports Night.
For more content like this and so much more, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and X. For everyone here at Penn State Sports Night,
We are
Penn State Sports Night.